If Fabian Picardo was expecting a hostile reception in Madrid, he might have been pleasantly surprised. The right-wing groups mobilizing on social media failed to turn up in any great presence. And the most aggressive question put to him at this gathering in the Spanish capital by a PSOE diputado was how many companies are registered on the ROC and how are they taxed. Rumors of a mass demonstration here have been greatly exaggerated. What you see behind me is what's turned up, some 10-15 people representing different organizations criticizing the chief minister and Gibraltar, and the Spanish police have this one well under control. The chief minister had some pretty remarkable news to impart. Gibraltar now contributes to a quarter of GDP in the Campo area. The amount earned by Spanish workers on the ROC has gone up 47%, and there has been a 120% increase in goods purchased in the Campo by local businesses, all in the last 5 years. These are statistics which form part of a Chamber of Commerce study, which will be published in the next few weeks.
Well, we received a final draft of the report yesterday, actually. So the figures are very much fresh in everyone's minds. Obviously, we want to launch the report sometime in the next month or so. It requires now some editing, translation, and so on. So I don't want to say too much about it, but we thought it was important to make available some of the figures to the Chief Minister in today's presentations, given that there is a lot of Spanish press here that would hear about them. And I think the headline figure is that in 2007, Gibraltar contributed about an eighth of the Campo GDP, and that figure has gone up to about a quarter of the Campo GDP.
And not the statistics, said Mr. Picardo, which demonstrates an enemy of the Spanish people.
Well, indeed, and remember that those statistics reflect Spain being, with the rest of Europe, in an economic crisis, in particular the Campo de Gibraltar suffering greatly during the course of that economic crisis, Gibraltar doing very well economically in 2013. It was a very good year economically for Gibraltar, so therefore we are going to have a greater effect on the economy of the Campo de Gibraltar than in years when their own economy is doing well. But the fascinating thing, of course, is that at the same time, whatever was happening economically, we were actually at the height of Spain being very belligerent towards Gibraltar in that particular year. So imagine what we could have done, I say to the audience rhetorically, if despite the economic effects, we had also been working very closely together to have the maximum joint impact in promoting the Campo de Gibraltar and Gibraltar as a place to do business.
There was political rhetoric too. Mr. Picardo offered Spain a proposal. Together, he said, we could be unstoppable in the European Union, but we must have dialogue and cooperation.
Well, I think it's fundamental. I mean, I come here to say that we want to have a relationship which is based on understanding, on dialogue, but also on honesty and being frank with each other. So I think it's important to say that the sovereignty of Gibraltar is a matter entirely for the people of Gibraltar, that our self-determination is what matters there, but then to move on and say, look, let's get on and let's talk about the things that we may be able to work together on. Let's talk about the issues that are creating problems and let's try and resolve those under the ad hoc process. If we can't go back to the trilateral forum, which we hope to go back to in the long term, which can deal with wider issues than just the particular problems that may have come up on a particular day.
And sharing a few words in Spanish before Mr. Picardo took the floor, the British ambassador in Madrid, Simon Manley, said the respective parties were very close to agreeing a formula for ad hoc talks. Neither he nor the chief minister, however, committed themselves to a date. Mr. Manley said the formula wouldn't be perfect, but would pave the way for dialogue.
We're obviously working very closely with the Chief Minister and with the Spanish government to try and find a genuinely ad hoc formula which enables the parties, all the parties, to sit and talk about the practical issues which the Chief Minister spoke about. And I think there are many of them, and we hope that those talks could be a stimulus to greater cooperation, greater collaboration in the interests of all the EU citizens on both sides of the border.
The Chief Minister ended his address by placing an offer on the table. Come to Gibraltar, he said, and find out that it's much more than just a negative headline on a slow news day. History, he said, won't forgive those who turn their backs on the opportunity for dialogue. Jonathan Sacramento, GBC News, Madrid.